Thanks for listening to Creative Control. While I have you here, please consider supporting youth empowerment and support services, otherwise known as YES. Based in Edmonton, Alberta, YES provides immediate and low-barrier overnight and day shelter, temporary supportive housing, and individualized wraparound supports for young people aged 15 to 24. They work collaboratively within a network of care focused on the prevention of youth homelessness by providing youth with the necessary supports to stabilize their housing, improve their well-being, build life skills, connect with community, and avoid re-entry into homelessness. Learn more about how to donate or otherwise support YES by visiting yess.org.
Creative control, creative control. Comedy, art, and sometimes rock and roll. Let's do a public opinion poll. Raise your hand if you love creative control. 'Cause when Vish is unleashed, well, Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. I was just working on a tribute song to my favorite podcast, Creative Control, with Vish Khanna. My name is Matthias, and I play in a band called The Burning Hell, but more importantly, I support Creative Control on Patreon, and I think you should too. Quality long-form arts journalism is like a magical talking unicorn. It definitely exists, but it can be really hard to find. Fortunately for us, Vish makes it easy with hundreds of funny, thought-provoking, well-researched and engaging interviews with artists from all over the world. Your flexible monthly donation on Patreon will get you plenty of special exclusive treats and help Vish keep his podcast well-fed and cared for properly, the way a magical unicorn deserves.
To make your flexible monthly donation to Creative Control, please visit patreon.com/Creative Control today.
Cory, Hanson, and Robbie Cody are inventive multi-instrumentalists, songwriters, and producers based in Los Angeles, California. One of the finest vocalists and guitarists of his generation, Hanson co-founded the psych rock-tinged band Wand in 2013 as an outlet for his exciting and infectious rock sensibilities, and Cody joined its rotating membership 3 years later, infusing it with both his musical imagination and his vision as an engineer and producer. Wand have reached a new creative plane with their uniquely constructed 7th album, Vertigo, which was released by Drag City on July 26th, 2024. Cory and Robbie joined me for a talk recently, and we covered topics like the California heat, the Kendrick Lamar Drake feud, buying a large amount of recording gear using crypto, and other financial planning advice. Bob Dylan's 2024 tour behind the 2012 album Tempest, the history of Wand, cinema, film noir, and physical media, making a Wand record in a very different improvisational manner, admirable production work by the likes of Bill Schnee and Jim O'Rourke, directing an emotional vocal take, abiding by the doomsday clock, touring with Red Hot Chili Peppers, other future plans, and much more. A part of the Lionsgate Sound Network with the support of listeners like you who follow and subscribe to this listener-supported and donor-driven podcast. Spread the word about it, leave nice reviews and ratings on your podcast platform, and make flexible monthly donations at patreon.com/Creative Control, which is the primary and most reliable way for a podcaster like me to make a living, and where a monthly subscription of $6 American or its currency equivalent means you can access every single episode of this show in its entirety, which is not the case without that subscription. Indeed, for this very episode featuring Wand, if you are a $6 a month subscriber, you get to hear the whole thing. But if you're not, then you don't. But you can be. You can sign up for any tier you want if you want to subscribe to my Patreon. But at $6 and higher, that's when you get the good stuff. So consider it if you can at patreon.com/Creative Control. Thank you so much. With additional support from Blackbird Music, a wonderful record store with bricks and mortar locations in Edmonton and Calgary, Alberta, and a great website where you can order things even if you don't live in either Calgary or Edmonton, Alberta. And say you want the new Wand record, Vertigo. Well, head over to blackbird.ca, type it in. If they can get it for you, they will. And they'll send it to your house or keep it in the store. Wait till you get there. It's just that simple. Blackbird.ca for more info. Plus in-kind support from independent businesses like Pizza Trocadero, The Bookshelf, and Planet Bean Coffee in Guelph, Ontario, and Granddad's Donuts in Hamilton, Ontario. This is episode 888 of Creative Control, featuring the lovely and talented Cory Hanson and Robbie Cody from Wand, with your host, me, Vish Khanna. Please enjoy this excerpt from our conversation, and to hear the whole thing, again, subscribe to the show at patreon.com/creativecontrol. Anyway, speaking of bands with different configurations, let's talk about Wand, shall we? I'm sorry, guys. I didn't expect to talk about all the other things for so long, but these things happen. Cory, we've never had you on the show to talk about Wand. Do you realize that? We've only talked about your solo records. I realized that this morning, as a matter of fact. I guess you've just been... Yeah, that's how we connected, right? Your solo stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
What can you tell us about Wand then, in terms of how it started? And I was referencing the fact that you've had different lineups. Can you give us a little brief history of the band and maybe tell us about who's in it? Who's in it now?
Sure. Yeah. Well, Wand began in the summer of 2013. I recorded a bunch of music by myself in my bedroom while I was living in Elysian Park, and showed it to some buddies, and they were like, "Oh, this is good." And then one of my friends, Ty Siegel, wanted to put it out, and I was like, "Well, I don't really want to put out these songs. These are more like demos, so I'll get a band and record it in a studio." So then I hit up a bunch of college friends from CalArts, Evan Burrows, and I guess Lee Landy. He was just a friend. He didn't go to CalArts. And Daniel Martins, who I met in New York, who played in a bunch of cool bands out there. And then, we just recorded this record, the first Wand record, and put it out. And after that, Daniel had a kid, and he, stepped away from the band. We started touring like maniacs and had a bunch of different like auxiliary guitarists stepping in, or a couple different. And then Robbie joined the band around then with Sophia, and they were sort of plucked from their band, Personal Best, at the time. And we started writing. That's when we wrote the Plum record and recorded that, put that out, and we did a few records like that. And then Sophia and Lee left the band in 2021. And we got caught in we put out a record in 2019, and then we were planning on taking a year off because we had just gone so hard, for the last 5 years. And then COVID happened, and it's kind of 2 pages of the book got stuck together. And then we found ourselves on the other side, sort of well, what do we do? And Sophia and Lee were like, yeah, we have other obligations now, and life sort of changed. So we just started recording with all this equipment that we got during COVID. We started just recording jams, just me and Robbie and Evan Burrows, trying to figure out where we were at, and just, sort of letting everything hang out, just be natural, and relaxed. And, and then that's when we started putting this record together. And then Evan Backer, we asked him to join the band, who is also a dude I know from CalArts from way back when. He is a composition major, and so he was able to write out all the strings and horns and all that, which was great. Yeah, and that brings us up to date.
Thank you so much. It's a very succinct history. of Wand, and it's a beautiful new album. Just to clarify, Cory, what is your role in the band? What do you play? What do you do?
Well, on this record, usually I play guitar and sing. On this record, I'm mostly playing Fender Rhodes and singing, and there's some guitar on it. Mostly it's Robbie playing guitar, and that's how we jammed it all out. It's just mostly me on Rhodes, Robbie on guitar, and Evan on drums.
Oh, okay. As a 3-piece, but it's a 4-piece band now, right?
Yeah, and then Backer sort of came in after all of those jams had been recorded. Yeah, we spent a good chunk of time, probably 3 or 4 months, just improvising in front of microphones, and then took that and got Evan Backer in the band, and then we took that and we're like, what do we do with this, and constructed it into a record.
Is that unusual for you, Cory, in particular, to kind of leave the structure of songs to sort of, I guess, post-production, if you will?
I mean, it didn't feel that different from other Wand records. There was less control over the material that was making up the composition, but I think that you got to have a wabi-sabi mentality about it.
Yeah.
I guess it's just it's going to be imperfect, but that's the point. We wanted something that was really relaxed and had breath, and we were really influenced by those Electric Miles records from the late 60s to the mid 70s, and just getting the sound of this continuum of musical conversation.
Yeah.
That can just go in all these different directions, a natural, sort of the way this conversation is jumping from crypto to Drake and Kendrick and, on and on and on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but just with non-verbal.
Yeah. Just to reiterate, I'm pro Dot. I'm pro Kendrick on this topic. I just want to mention that one more time because I just have been enjoying that song. I mean, Robbie, have you even heard the Not Like Us song? Have you heard that song even?
I think I heard it on the radio. Yeah. It's awesome.
Great. I can't say I listened to it 5 times in a row. I have to just keep listening to it again and again. Anyway, I don't mean to digress. Thank you for that background, Cory. Robbie, let's talk about you, because it sounds like I was just asking Cory what he does in Wand, and it sounds like it changed for this record. How would you characterize what you do in this band and on this record? I mean, it sounds like you engineered and played guitar.
Yeah,
is that about
Vertigo.
right?
Yeah, I was I recorded it. We all produced it and mixed it together, but I was the recording engineer. I play guitar.
Okay.
Traditionally I've played guitar in the band.
Okay. And how, if I may, get into your background a little bit? You said you're from the Bay Area originally, is that right?
Yeah, I grew up in a town called Burlingame, which is close to SFO, to the airport.
Okay. And so how did you get into... Sorry, Cory and I have talked a few times, so I have a better sense of his upbringing and background. But, Robbie, we've never met.
Yeah.
You seem like you're rich. I know you're rich. You're wealthy. I've heard that.
I'm cash...
But,
I'm cash poor,
Okay. Yeah. I'm making jokes. I'm sorry. How did you get into music as just a young person there, Robbie?
I think I saw Back to the Future, and I was really taken with the scene where he plays the guitar.
The giant amp?
Well, when he plays the Chuck Berry song,
Oh, sorry, at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance.
Exactly.
That part?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay,
I was
sorry.
11 or something when I saw that. And then, or maybe a little younger. And then my parents got me a nylon string guitar, or actually it was my grandfather's. And then kind of just went from there.
I see.
Yeah.
Self-taught?
I took lessons for about a year.
Okay.
And then, just self-taught.
I see. Okay. And in terms of the, not only the chutzpah to engineer a record, but do you have any background in recording engineering?
Yeah, I've recorded, I was one of 2 engineers on 2 of Cory's solo records. So
okay.
records you're familiar with, Western Come and Pale Horse Rider.
Beautiful albums. I love those albums still. I don't mean to say still to this day, because that's not how records work. You're supposed to like them forever if you like them. But I just want to say, Cory, once again, congratulations on. I think you short shrifted yourself by calling that album Western Come. I think you fucked it. I think it should have been everywhere. And people were like, I don't want to, ew. And I was like, no, get over it. It's so fucking good. It's like the best album of the year. Shut up, I said to some random stranger on the street. Just listen to it. Anyway, sorry. I just want to say it's wonderful, wonderful stuff. And Robbie, thank you for your contribution to it, because it sounds fucking great too. I just want to say, guys, I do this all the time. I talk to people all the time. I'm going through records, as you can imagine, very quickly, but I will listen to Western Come, every couple of months if I can still. And I just think it's great. So thank you. I just want to say that. I don't mean to gush about Western Come, which sounds gross. So you engineered that, and prior to that, did you go to school or anything for engineering?
No, self-taught, just trial by fire, doing it. Just, when you're playing bands and there's no money, you start doing it. I mean, I'd engineered several records before that, but always, just punk bands when you're young. Yeah. And I've done records since then. I engineered my friend Kayla's record. She performs as Itasca, and I play in her live band. And that just came out in the last year. Who else? I don't know. There's a few. I worked on a record with Cory for this band, the Cordovas. He produced that. I engineered it. Yeah. Band Semi Trucks. I just did their record. That'll be coming out. But yeah, I have some experience. And
oh, cool.
As I started out, just kind of like when you're young and you play music, one guy's got to record it, And so I did a lot of that, and it was always a little shitty sounding. And then you just get better and better. You do something that sounds weird, and you get good at it.
Hey, thanks for listening to Creative Control, as always. As you may have heard me mention, I recently lost my day job, and I've had a few conversations with people since who've said, you had a day job? I thought your podcast was your day job. When I explained why it hasn't been my day job to a friend, he suggested I should share some of this information with people like you listening right now. So, in short, unless they have some giant exclusive $1 million contract, podcasters are not paid to make stuff by companies like Apple and Spotify. Podcasters do not make any money from streaming royalties. Ad revenue is dependent on a certain threshold of downloads each month, and even if your show is accessed 30,000 times a month, the income you get is actually really minimal. So podcasters like me usually make time in our lives to support our communities and our interests to make these shows, and our most reliable source of income for this work is in fact crowdfunding. In my case, it's my Patreon. So if you'd like to receive ad-free episodes earlier than everyone else, regular newsletters and blog posts, bonus audio content, and support my work, quite literally, please visit patreon.com/creativecontrol today. Thank you so much for listening to this excerpt from a recent episode of Creative Control with Vish Khanna. Every other Creative Control episode is only accessible to Patreon supporters. This is one of them. So please visit patreon.com/creativecontrol and become a subscriber today, and you won't miss a single episode in its entirety. There are links in the show notes to take you right there. So if you're able to, please do support this show and enjoy hours and hours of conversation. Thank you.